Evening friends, Ash here, WAT News, with some more news updates. I was letting this story percolate for a couple days to see what really was going down, and now it appears that a missile strike was what hit Nashville, and the target was the AT&T NSA hardened switching facility spy hub. We now have video evidence that an incoming missile... Sorry, this is Mike Adams, Natural News. Sergeant report. We now have video evidence that an incoming missile initiated the explosion in Nashville. The following skyline video embedded below shows quite clearly an incoming missile trail immediately before the explosion. We also now know that the location, which was blurred out by Google Street Maps, housed the AT&T NSA VoIP router complex, which allows the NSA to spy on all phone conversations and phone texts of anyone using the AT&T network. The Intercept article, The Wiretap Rooms, explains the existence of hidden NSA spy hubs all across America. The former owner of the building is reportedly Cerebus Capital, which is tied to Yugubzbede, which acquired some ownership of Dominion voting systems. And we already covered Yugubzbede, so here we are talking about Staple Street Capital again, maybe? Various internet analysts say the blast appears to have been intended to halt a Dominion voting machines audit that was about to take place in the building as well, although that has not been yet confirmed. No matter what the motive, you can rest assured the media will find some white conservative gun owner to blame for everything, as that's always their propaganda narrative. Incoming missile proves there was a military operation. You can see the flash there, the streak of the tail of the missile going in. Here's about a second later as the missile trail is disappearing from top to bottom, indicating the missile is moving from the sky to the ground. Finally, just a moment later, the explosion takes place. So it's appearing from still photos and video evidence that a missile was what took out that street. Now, I was watching a couple of different videos. We could play this video here. Let's see it. Watch it.
Now watch by the third light
right here.
Streams up in the air, and then this.
Here you can see the streak come in. Let's play it one more time. There's the streak, and then it blows up.
Now watch by the third.
One more time.
Streams up in the air, and then this.
So it does appear that there's a trail of smoke, and now the question is, there was gunshots, right? And somebody was talking on another channel I was watching, actually, and we know, and he was saying that there was about 20 or more gunshots before this happened, right? And so somebody was saying that one possible hypothesis for this is that some bad actors showed up to do something in that building, and they were taken out by white hats, but there was some kind of IED device there, and just to take it out, they launched this missile, or somebody launched a missile, because that failed, is I guess what they're saying. So again, we don't know what's going on right now, but if this was a spy hub and the Dominion machines, that was the other allegation, was that the Dominion machines that were supposed to be being audited were being housed in that building. And if that's the case, I could see why someone would want to destroy them, because if they audit those machines, I'm assuming they're going to find some kind of wrongdoing in them, and then some kind of problem with them. Now, the other allegation that's coming out is IT expert Ramsland audit in Savannah, Georgia shows tabulation machines were sending results to China, by Jim Hoft. Russell Ramsland and his team of IT experts were hired to investigate the Dominion voting machines in Antrim County, Michigan recently. Ramsland later filed an affidavit where he claimed the election results in Michigan were an impossibility. Ramsland Jr. of the Allied Security Operations Group recently said a forensic audit in Savannah, Georgia shows tabulation machines were sending election results to China. That's a huge revelation. It looks like it's going to prove out to be correct that in Georgia there is a smart thermostat that is talking to the tabulations and reporting the votes back to China. And that was traced by a Microsoft engineer, and he brought it to our attention yesterday. So that's being monitored. So Let me see if I can get that. That actual? See if we could hear him say that. Okay, so let's listen to Russell Ramsden.
There was a report yesterday, and we're looking into it, but it looks like it's going to prove out to be correct. That in Savannah, Georgia, there is a a smart thermostat in one of the tabulation rooms that is talking to a tabulation server and reporting the votes back to China. And that was traced by a Microsoft engineer. And he brought it to our attention yesterday. So that's being monitored. We already knew that there was a huge overseas problem. And it's not just social media. Your votes in 29 different states, your votes were going to Frankfurt, Germany. They were ending up on a server owned by Clarity Elections in Frankfurt. Well, there is.
So there you have it. That's more proof that votes were going out of that county to China now. So Twitter says this is a disputed claim, and forensic audit in Savannah, Georgia shows tabulation machines were sending results to China. So and I just wanted to end, so we'll have to see how it all plays out with the Nashville. It looks like, now the other rumor I heard, and this is just, we don't know this yet, but that the Kraken machine, or something that cools the Kraken, the computer was in that building. And that would disable the Kraken computer if the cooling system was disabled. So, again, we're not sure, but it looks like a missile did hit there. The question is, who shot that missile and why, right? Was there an IED in that RV? Is that the cover story? Or because we're also seeing that they found remains of somebody at the site, they're saying. Where was that? Hang on. Nashville Christmas bombing shut down. There was also, apparently, there was a bomb threat at Empire State Building. I couldn't find out any information about that, so I don't know if that ever happened. Nashville bomber Anthony Warner perished at the scene. DNA was found at site. So I guess they found some part of this guy's DNA. I don't know. It just sounds very suspicious to me. Sorry, guys, we're getting a little... I wanted to also play this interview with Bill Gates because you can see how worried he is now as the person who's interviewing him is starting to ask more and more questions about the virus and why there's so many bad reactions to it and stuff like that. So let's watch Bill Gates squirm.
The development of diagnostics, therapeutics, and vaccines in the fight against the coronavirus. Earlier today, I asked Bill Gates what he makes of the results coming out from those early vaccine trials.
We don't know if these vaccines will work. We don't know if they'll work to avoid deaths. We don't know if they'll work to avoid transmission. That's why we're working on so many first-generation vaccines.
How do we know if these vaccines are working?
You'd like it to be very safe in all the populations that you indicated for, no side effects, and then you'd like it to avoid the individuals against the vaccine getting sick.
Where are we in terms of a rapid diagnostic test? You've talked about this a lot. It would be a test that is like an in-home pregnancy test. Where are those tests?
In the next 2 to 4 months, some of those tests will get approved. Now, they won't be as accurate as the PCR, which is a molecular test. And so over the next few months, we have to up PCR capacity. We have to get results back in 24 hours. We need both. And the delayed times that we have today are completely unacceptable. It's making most much worthless.
The president said just this weekend that the U.S. has the lowest mortality rate in the world. Is that factually correct?
Not at all, not even close. I mean, by almost every measure, the U.S. is one of the worst.
Why are we one of the worst?
We actually had criteria for opening up that said you had to have cases declining, and we opened up with cases increasing.
We have
Cases, not deaths.
Of this decision about how to get kids safely back into the classroom or whether to learn totally online. How can we do it safely?
The big challenge here is how to get the teachers and the staff in, and to avoid those kids being a source of infection does hang in the balance on top of the learning deficits we have coming out of last year. So I put that after the deaths as the next biggest costs.
One of our viewers texted us this question. His name is Eric. He's actually from Washington State, where you are, and he asked, would you send your children to public school in this current situation?
If a school is being careful, then yes. Now, if they live in a multi-generational household, where you have old people that they're exposed to, you have to look how hard would it be for you to reduce the, grandparents' exposure to those kids.
I can't listen to this guy much longer.
Transmission into the older people that drives these, really horrific deaths per day.
Bill Gates, thank you so much for joining.
So that's, sorry guys, they left out the part that I wanted to add, which was where she's questioning him about all the bad reactions people are having to the vaccine. So sorry we had to go through all that. So, was this some kind of switching facility? It appears that it may have been. And if it's an NSA VoIP router complex, then why did somebody want this destroyed? Did they want it to be taken out so that any information that's on those servers would be destroyed? Did they want the Dominion machines destroyed? We don't know that yet, but it appears obviously somebody was willing to shoot a missile into it. And why were they clearing out the buildings, right? Why did they wait 15-30 minutes and then give a warning to everybody to clear the area? So was there a dark hat thing going on here that was stopped and they decided they had to just blow this thing up because they couldn't deal with the IED? I don't know. But if there was an IED there, then maybe they couldn't deal with it. And they just decided to blow the whole thing up? Or did somebody else, after their mission got thwarted, decide to shoot a missile into this place? Which is a pretty heavy duty thing to do, right? So there's a lot of stuff unanswered about this that we still don't know. But the fact that many gunshots went off previously would make that argument or that hypothesis sound a lot more correct, that something went down before and it was stopped, and then somebody did something else much more desperate act, right, to shoot a missile into a city. I mean, that's like an insane thing. So we have to see how it all plays out with that. But I think this is the bigger story too, is that IT expert Ramsland audit in Savannah, Georgia shows tabulation machines were sending the results to China. Was that why that somebody wanted to mess up, blow up the Nashville center, because the information that's showing that would have been in those servers? That's yet to be determined. But I would assume that if that was happening, that they'd already have evidence of that somewhere else. So we'll have to see how it all plays out, guys. There's a lot more stuff playing out next week, I think. We're going to have to see how what happens January 6th. Mathematician Bobby Pitton finds more than 500,000 unique last names in Pennsylvania. Sophisticated state actor was able to optimize desired outcome. So there's a lot going on, guys. So stay frosty, and I'm going to be doing some more secret space program digs, getting into some of these space corporations that happen to have gone into space, because I think at the end of this, if you go past Paysor and past those people, you're going into the space corporations now. And there's several large corporations that went into space with the Nazis and when the Nazis went into space. And I guess later when we joined, because we basically made a deal with those Nazis who went into space, it appears, to keep the whole space thing quiet all these years. That's the only way it could be kept so quiet and these secret programs could keep going on. And I think that's part of what Trump's doing. He's cutting off the money that these guys get. And part of that is destroying the Fed and dealing with that. But, you're not just dealing with like big pharma and these corporations. You're dealing with space corporations at the end of this, I think. And those people have a lot more power and reach than you realize. So with that, guys, stay frosty. We'll talk soon. This is Ash, WAT News, signing off for right now.